I'd like to call this meeting of the School District of Baraboo Board of Education to order for Monday, July the 27th, 2015, with a roll call. Mr. Cummings.
Here.
Mr. McNevin is not here tonight. Mr. Meering.
Here.
Mr. Mortimer.
Here.
Ms. Riley.
Here.
Mr. Vedro.
Here.
And Bodak here. Continue with the pledge. The flag is behind the counter by the clock. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would entertain a motion for the approval of the board minutes of the July the 13th, 2015 meeting.
And before you do, we do
Let's
have
get
an
a-
adjustment.
We get a motion in a second, and then we can do the adjustment.
I move to approve.
Having a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, underneath approval resignations, we just have an error that we need to correct where it says Jessica Hott from Abe kindergarten. It should be Jessica Hott from Abe second grade and Laura Moore from Abe kindergarten. So those just got switched around. So
I'll
correct.
accept that change.
Who was the second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those
Abstain.
opposed? Note Ms. Riley's abstention. Minutes thus approved. Brings us to correspondence, board correspondence. I have none. Two board members notified me they had correspondence. First up, Mr. Meering and then Mr. Vedro.
Yeah, I received two correspondence from our senator, State Senator John Erpenbach. This was regarding Motion 999, which included many provisions that were included in the state budget at the last minute. And one of them included the current open records laws change, and the other one was regarding the change in the WIA ruling as far as homeschooling students. So those I received and submitted.
Thank you. Mr. Vedro?
I received communication from Jeannie Maldon, who works with the Sauk County Health Department as a registered dental hygienist. She works also with Baraboo School Board and other county schools in providing sealants for students. I know her quite well, both from the Sauk County Board of Health, on which I also sit, as well as on the school board. I'd like to put into the record her recommendation that we work out a program here for our K-4 or pre-K-4 students to be better educated and provided toothbrushes and build in some way, shape, and form a program to get them to into the habit of brushing. The sealants tend to be much less meaningful if they're not brushing. So this is something that I'd like us as a district to consider and see if we can take the lead in helping to document that when we teach our young children to brush and they get sealants, it's much less costly to them and greater benefit to health. Thank you.
Administrative correspondence?
I have one correspondence that I'll pass around. We just received this on Thursday, that the Hope House of South Central Wisconsin was one of two organizations across the state that was selected as a recipient of the Rape Prevention and Education Sub-Grant. And that grant is designed to build a partnership with Baraboo High School to provide educational experiences for students and staff and also our coaches. And actually one of our football coaches will be traveling to North Carolina through this grant to learn about a program called Coaching Boys into Men. So we're really excited to be a part of that partnership, and I will pass that around in case board members want to look at that.
Any additional administrative correspondence? Hearing none. Public viewpoints. Is there anyone here for public viewpoints tonight? Any public viewpoints? Any public viewpoints? Hearing none, I'd like to move on to staff and student recognition, and we have with us tonight the Schaefer family. And Josie, are you a junior going to be a senior, or are you a senior now?
I'm going to be a junior.
You're going to be a junior, okay.
We've elevated you.
Well, I just wasn't sure, it's July. So I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Langkamp for a little background and move our process along tonight for some well-earned recognition.
Sure. First of all, with Josie today, her mother, Anne Marie, she's a high school English teacher, as most of you know. Her father, Dan, part of Schaefer Electric, owner, I think, of Schaefer Electric. And then her sister, Mary. Mary's very talented musically, and in fact was my daughter's favorite singer in the Pops concert. So. Actually, my school
We'll recognize that another night.
So Josie's a three-sport athlete. She's, like we said, she's going to be a junior. She plays volleyball, basketball, and track. One of the things I love about our school is that our student body, I think that there's kind of a positive, I don't know if it's, you call it peer pressure or what, but there's almost an expectation that outstanding athletes participate in multiple sports, and usually three-sport athletes. And I know some schools struggle with specialization, and whether it's parents, students, or coaches that you think you have to focus on one sport to be successful. Our school and somebody like Josie is a great example of how that doesn't need to be the case. Josie's a multi-sport athlete and obviously very successful. She's in her 2 years with the track team. She's qualified for the state meet both years, earning second place this past June. And that was really only the start of her summer, though, in terms of her competition. Last week she got back from Cali, Colombia, where she placed 5th in the World Youth Track and Field Trials. So 5th place in the world. She told me later this week she's going to Jacksonville, Florida, compete in the Junior Olympic competition, and will round out her summer by going to Norfolk, Virginia, and again competing in a national competition there. She's the school record holder. She set the school record holder in the discus this year, although we're just going to put the current record probably in like masking tape with pencil because probably not very safe for the next couple of years. I doubt she's done breaking that record. To me, though, the other thing that I'm proud of and that I really appreciate about Josie is not just being just obviously a fantastic athlete and all that, but she really, I think, exhibits what we want, not just our student athletes, but all of our students to exhibit, and that's hard work and dedication. I coach a middle school baseball team, or I just got done coaching that team. We practiced in the spring and the summer, and there were more than one night where we'd be out there probably around this time, and as we look beyond the fence, beyond our field, there's Josie and her dad working hard and practicing, throwing, after the rest of the team is gone, or like I said, in the summer, it'd be June or July, and she's out there working hard. In fact, usually it was a great teachable moment for me as a coach to my kids to say, hey, look, guys, if you want to know what it takes to be a state championship kind of athlete, that's what it's all about right there. So she was a great model for our students. Lastly, I would say too, again, the other thing I really appreciate is her humbleness. Again, she's obviously very decorated already. Could be very arrogant or walk around the halls like she owns the place, but she treats fellow classmates and schoolmates with kindness and respect. And even last week, for example, she got back from Columbia on, it was like a Monday or Tuesday night. Very next day, I was in the gym, just popped in to take a peek at volleyball camp, and there's Josie again. Just got home, could have said, hey, I need to take the day off, or I don't need volleyball camp, or any of that kind of stuff. But there she is working hard the very next day, being a great example for her teammates. So because of all that, I think she's when she travels the world and travels our country, she represents not only herself, her family, but our school district, and our community just with first class. So because of all that, I know that she's more than deserving of this award.
Josie, I'm Miss Miller. Nice to meet you. I've been seeing you all over TV and on the news. We are, I can't say it better than Mr. Langkamp. We're just really thankful that we've been a part of your journey, and we know that this is just the start, that you have the world at your feet, and we're just so blessed to have you here in Baraboo. We're very proud of you. And I noted too on TV, I was not only proud of what you represent with your athletic skills, but your ability to articulate to the cameras and to be a really good representative of this community. So thank you, and we look forward to the rest of your accomplishments.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, not as exciting as those other awards you're in.
Just thank you so much. Being at the hotel in Columbia and getting all the supportive words and kind words of the whole community, and especially my family, and then coming home to letters from all the community with the newspaper clippings saying how proud they were and how much support they gave to me meant so much, and just thank you so much for everything that this community's done and helped me through what's going on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Josie, you have a goal by the time you're a senior, like 170 or 73 feet? Isn't that the world record or something like that? I read in the paper.
I think the world record's probably a little more than that.
Oh, is it?
I know the Wisconsin state record's only a few inches away, so I think that's a good mark to shoot for this season.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing your July night with us too, by the way. The whole family.
Thank you. Yeah.
Brings us then to reports, and we have with us tonight Jen Mason from C.G. Schmidt to give us an update, summary of how things are going around our construction projects for the summer.
Kind of cruel to put us after her.
But you'll dazzle us, won't you?
Fifth in the world.
World Championship construction.
So a lot of you came to my tour last week, and I appreciate that. And not a lot has changed since last week, except now that we got that in-wall inspection last Monday, which is a huge milestone, we were able to drywall. So you'll see drywall if you peek into behind that barrier. It's 100% done at Baraboo High School. It's 75% done at GLW, and it's progressing in all the other schools. North Freedom doesn't have a whole lot of drywall at all, so it's mostly masonry, so we kept that intact. We discussed that this week. Meanwhile, on the roof here, we're finishing up here. That crew is moving to Abe, which has already gotten started, to redo that entire roof, including the alternate. The parking lot work has started there. Parking lot work is finishing here. So this Friday, it's gonna go black, so you're gonna see binder course, and then you'll be able to have that accessible, the entire thing for registration on the 6th. And then
Great.
they'll follow up with final course, you know, the driving course, and stripe it by the 2nd registration date on the 11th. So that's what we're shooting for. Abe and East parking lot replacements only take a day about each, so those are a lot faster than fit those in. Those will be black overnight. The seal coating's already scheduled for Jack Young Middle School, so all of the exterior parking lots are gonna be done. I think I'm gonna say anything else. Mechanical, that's all progressing. We had a big meeting today to make sure that this last month is more of an organized chaos. So last month of a school project, especially 7 of them, is very chaotic, but we're trying to organize that so that way people aren't getting on each other's nerves and everybody's moving in the right direction. But essentially, it's like trying to collect a swarm of bees from, you know, one school to another and just make sure they're swarming in the right direction and getting the hives done. So I think that's about it. I don't know if anybody has any other question.
The water up in middle school up here on the, were you putting a tile in or something? How's that coming?
For the electrical room?
Yeah.
We submitted the price today. I don't know how much more you wanted to say about that.
I saw, but what is the concept gonna be there?
What does it entail?
Yeah.
We're gonna rip out some concrete of that sidewalk, and we're gonna dig down, and we're gonna end up epoxying along, we're putting drain tile along the foundation wall, so it's gonna come over and drain the water out to the hill. So that way the water is moving away from the school instead of towards the electrical room. and towards the
So it'll drain out by the loading dock down there somewhere?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
we'll core a hole in that foundation wall and it'll just stay right there and we'll put probably a splash pad on the hill.
So the water has a place to go and land. And then we replace it. It should be about 2 to 3 weeks tops to get that done. So we're in a big push to get that done before school starts. It's gonna be in our way while we finish up, but it's necessary to do, and I think this is the best fix you guys have had, and I think you'll be a lot happier with the results. Today we also established dates to where we're gonna have rooms, and we always knew we were gonna have the teachers' rooms available on the 21st. We'd like to have it available for cleaning on the 14th, and the hallways by the 21st, so that we can start cleaning and teachers aren't disappointed when they come in. So we've been starting to work on that and getting us out of here, so. Yeah, the
No.
end is near.
If you drain that so it comes out at the loading dock, would there ever be a problem where you're gonna have freezing of that water?
We're gonna confirm that with point of beginning, and they're gonna make that final decision, and that, so that nobody here, I mean, not us, not Faribault School District is on the hook. Somebody has designed that so that it doesn't freeze and so the water goes in the right direction.
Well, there's a storm sewer right there within about 8-10 feet off of the.
Yeah, and point of beginning has all that information, so they'll work with us on that.
Out by the south part of by the ball diamond down here where the sidewalk is running east and west, is there sidewalk coming to the north?
I believe so. I think
No,
it's there.
it goes and it turns
So
east to the
so
street.
pretty much to nowhere.
Kind of.
Yeah, well, there's no sidewalk on either side coming up this way. Okay.
You're saying up the hill, correct?
Mhm.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.
Thanks.
Brings us then to personnel. I want to make sure that everybody has the additions to the agenda, which you were forwarded over the course of not only today, but the last several days. So under resignations, we have 3. Ashley Ustallo from the Jack Young Middle School Special Education Department, Danielle Gray from the East CDS Special Education, and Shannon Krigbaum from the kindergarten at North Freedom. So those are the 3 resignations to act upon, and then making sure you have a third for approval of new hire, and that is Terry Nelson, Jack Young Middle School Language Arts teacher. So with those 3 resignations and the 3 pointed out new hires, I would entertain a motion for the approval of the resignations as presented.
I move to approve the resignations, the 3 resignations.
Second.
Motion by Mearing, seconded by Riley. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried, resignations approved. Brings us to the approval of the 3 new hires. Entertain a motion for those 3 new hires, which I didn't mention. Nicole, is it Chappell? Chappell from the Jack Young Middle School Special Education, and Jacqueline Holmes for Abe 2nd grade. And adding Terry Nelson again for the 3rd Jack Young Middle School Language Arts. I would entertain a motion for the approval of those 3 new hires.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Vedro, seconded by Mearing. Any discussion?
I just noted on some of the resumes that we're getting more seasoned teachers as well, even at this late date, which makes me feel very good. Not that I mind our new teachers coming in, but having a couple of seasoned teachers to join them is also great. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Approval for new hires passes. Brings us then to new business. First up is the approval of the receipts and, just of disbursements. And that was coming from finance earlier. Mr. Cummings?
After review of the receipts and disbursements, the Finance Committee makes a motion to approve the disbursements.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Cummings, seconded by Mortimer. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Brings us to B, the approval of the Flambeau naming agreement. That was also sent to you earlier today. There was some tweaking that was done last week, based upon discussions that not only the board had, but that Nordic Group had on behalf, or the Flambeau Family Foundation had on behalf of the naming rights. The intention and hope is that the board can approve that very simplified 1-page naming rights agreement tonight. There's a scheduled meeting for Thursday for a meeting with representatives of the Sawi Family Foundation to obtain their signatures, and this is the first of those steps. So I would entertain a motion for the approval of the naming agreement for Flambeau Field.
I will so move.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Having a motion by Cummings, seconded by Mearing. Any discussion?
I assume the attorney's gonna look this over, and I assume everything's gonna be
They already
copacetic,
have, I
right?
would believe, right?
We have crossed the Ts and dotted the Is.
With both sides, Flambeau and the school district.
My understanding is that Flambeau has a once-over from their end, and due to the lateness of when we met and they got a copy of it, we have planned to finalize it on Thursday. So my expectation is that we'll meet on Thursday for their signature, provided the board signs off on it tonight.
Well, we've already had a discussion with this final version, or the version.
Yes, well, we had a discussion of the blueprint for the final version, then the final version was put on paper, and that's what was forwarded to them, and I think everything that we put together was mutually agreed upon in the discussions that we have. I see no reason why there would be any issue, but until Thursday meeting, I will reserve that comment.
We've got Beryl Newman Stadium, we've got Flambeau Field. Is it possible that there are still naming rights possibilities in particular for, say, the media booth? I mean, might we might we look for other, assistance with some of the projects?
Well, Mr. Langkamp can certainly update the board on where he's at with the banners, because I think there's progress been made there. That's obviously the next step we're working on. I don't know
Right,
if
so
there's anything
right
else
on
there.
the bleacher wrap, which was a big piece of the funding plan. We have 3 of the 4 donors verbally, that have a verbal commitment to, yes, we would like a spot on there, so. So that's encouraging. I've talked to a couple of others, kind of waiting to hear some response to get the 4th, but to answer your question, just my opinion is I don't see why we wouldn't consider something concession stand or something, the media center.
Well, and again, this could be in other areas too, like our basketball, our swimming pool. There's other areas where we could potentially say, okay,
Right.
maybe this is, again, it's a way to reach out to the community and to continue to garner their support in other ways versus just via taxation, you know.
Right.
Mhm.
I would also support Doug and Mo's idea, which I really think has to do with reinforcing the idea that we are one community
Mhm.
and that our major industries in the community who have been here for long, long times, and other new industries and other new businesses which come in, need to see this school district as theirs. And one of the way in which they can see it as theirs is through these projects, naming rights. We have arts programs that
Mhm.
could utilize naming arts. It's simply a methodology, the outcome of which is to raise money, but I think the lead methodology is about partnership, about community, about making this more representative to the community, not just a silo in the community. And I think that's a wonderful thing that both Flambeau is stepping up toward and the others as well.
Any further discussion? Hearing none and having a motion in a second, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Brings us to C, which is the approval of the milk and milk products bid. I have to admit, I was a representative from BG&T at that meeting. It was crowded in the room. Jeff did a good job holding people back. I'll let him relay the numbers, but I would like to add that when we compared this year's bid from both vendors that bid to last year's bid from both vendors that bid, which happened to be the same, the price from both went down.
Wow.
So that was
That's
good
good.
news. Now, for the rest, I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Yeah, not a ton to report. We were down on chocolate milk and white milk per carton, down 2 cents versus last year. So when you're talking
A lot of cartons.
83,000 cartons of white and 236,000 cartons of chocolate milk, it adds up. So we expect to save some money
Chocolate
this
milk.
year. Not a ton, but 2 cents per carton.
We get federal funding for some of that.
For some of that, it's actually not federal, it's through the state.
Through the state.
I would have to actually talk to Mary Lovelace to see exactly how the grant works here, but I know there is state funding for the milk program. Cottage cheese was the one that was really down. $1.03 per 5-pound carton for that. So when you're talking it's $8 and it's down $1, that's a pretty significant drop. So for the recommendation, Gary, do you wanna
I
make
would
the
make a
recommendation?
motion that we accept the bid from Dean Foods of Wisconsin for the milk and milk products bid.
I'll second.
Having a motion by Mr. Cummings, seconded by Mr. Mortimer. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Thank you, Jeff. And that brings us to another portion for Jeff to elaborate on. That's the designation of the public depositories, which is D on the agenda.
Yep, and this hasn't changed much from last year. Basically, just once a year, we designate all the institutions that we house dollars with, and that's what you see in front of you. There's one addition from last year, and that is AUL, American United Life. we transferred our dollars from BMO Harris, for our OPEB trust, over from BMO Harris over to AUL this year. And we're already, realizing some significant, interest earnings from that switch.
Huh.
So that's the only big change.
Could we also explore whether there's any viability in engaging our financial cooperatives like Summit Credit Union?
Mhm.
Now I noticed that we have more co-ops and
Yeah.
community-based banks as members of the community,
Yep.
to see if they provide rates
Yeah,
that
just-
might be good for us.
Yeah, to speak to that point, I've actually already I reached out to them last year and they weren't interested. But Westby Co-op Credit Union and Summit Credit Union, I've asked them to bid on our short-term borrow for cash flow needs coming up in September. And Westby Co-op actually wrote back to me and said that they think they're going to bid this year, so.
Good.
Thank you.
There's an
Okay,
example
just as
of
long
that.
as they're invited to the
Oh,
table.
yeah, absolutely.
Entertain a motion for the acceptance of the presented designation of public depositories.
I will so move.
I'll second it.
Motion by Cummings, seconded by Mortimer. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Brings us to E, the annual notification of the board-adopted student academic standards, which has to do with keeping us in compliance with the state statute. If anybody needs any additional clarification, we can certainly do that. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion for the acceptance of that notification.
Well, actually, yeah, it's just a notification. I just want to bring back that the board formally adopted the Common Core State Standards back in October 14th of 2013. And then we adopted the Next Generation Science Standards back in January 12th, 2015. So those act as our student academic standards for our students. And then in other content areas, we use whichever is most recent, whether it be the Wisconsin Model Academic Standards or the national standards. So for all of our content areas, we'll provide an annual notification at our registration in a form of a document for our parents and guardians.
So does it get mailed to everyone's home?
No, we'll just provide it as a notification at registration, and then we can also include it on our website.
And I would hope that what we would be able to say is that all of our organizational structure and plans for student achievement are consistent with these goals and objectives, and that we've been recognized as being ahead of the curve.
Though it's not necessary, I would still have no problem with us. I'm making a motion to approve those, all of our standards as they currently exist.
Second.
Having a motion by Mr. Mearing, seconded by Mr. Bedrow. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Brings us to entertaining a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Is there a
Second.
second? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed,